It's yours. Good afternoon. My name is Chet Allen. I was raised in Pierce City. Been gone about 27 years. I am the name I put on myself is a hillbilly. I'm a sophisticated hillbilly. So with that, thank you for the respect of the flag. Now let's just take a moment of silence for old time's sakes. Okay, thank you for that silence and respect. Two things. Turn the ringers off. If you have ringtones like mine, it'll startle everybody around you. So
no kidding, too.
Need to shut them off, please. And the other thing, there is a donation jar for the museum. By the way, I've paid for everybody's ticket to go through the museum today, so, be sure to put some money in the jar in there for donations. Otherwise, the museum is really free. And the other thing that I would like to mention is, I want to dedicate this storytelling session to little Freddie Maiswinkle. I don't know how many of you remember Freddie Maiswinkle, but he did a lot of research and worked in this museum real hard, so I'd like to dedicate that to him. Now, the names of some of these people, these stories I tell, are changed to protect the innocence of my memory. So many of you know that our family is the first settlers of Lawrence County. The Williams, Judge John Williams, first settler, settled out outside of Mount Vernon here, 1852, I think, is the time frame. I may be wrong. But we are direct descendants of the first settlers. Well, now, that would have been my mother's folks. My grandma Kirby was a Williams. And there's a lot of history of the Williams that goes around. Williams Creek, so on and so forth. Now, Grandpa Kirby was way ahead of his time. He hauled milk for a lot of the neighbors with an old truck that had wooden spokes on it. And the money he made from that, he bought one of the first Aladdin lamps in the country. He took that home and set it down on the table and was very adamant to everybody there to not blow this lantern out. It'll ruin the mantle. Very strict about that. Well, they were sitting there at the supper table, and all of a sudden, boom! Grandpa jumped up, grabbed the 32 rimfire rifle and the kerosene lantern, and out the door he went. Come to find out, a tire on the old truck had blew in the barn. Well, he come back in to discover he had ruined the mantle. They said it was a very quiet supper after that. He didn't say a word, nobody said another word. Now, being ahead of the time, when electricity was run through, he had one of the first farms that had electricity on it. And when the electric milkers come out, he got one of the first milkers. He also had one of the first electric fencers. Well, Mother tells a story about the time that they were watching the cows right after they fixed the fencer up, and cows getting into it, laughing and carrying on, and Grandma decided she'd go over to what little orchard they have, pick some peaches for a cobbler. So she watered her dress and her apron up, got straddle that fence. Mother said it was a quiet supper again, and no peach cobbler. So, I guess that would have been kind of an electrifying event. Now, Grandma and I was a little bitty type. Grandma put me in the old Ford car, and I don't remember what year, it had been in the late 40s, black, had the 3-speed in the floor. We went to town. Now, living east about 3-4 miles, she'd drive along, never got out of second gear, and she'd put that right front tire in that ditch, she'd come to culvert, she'd pull up and right down, all the way to town and all the way back. I never remember her driving after that. That was the last trip that she ever drove that I ever remember. And even though I was a little bitty tyke, I was scared to death. That was quite a trip. In that same car, Brenda wasn't born yet. It would have been my folks, my older sister, Grandpa and Grandma. We were going down to Crane to Doc Woods, visit Doc Woods, who was a distant cousin of ours. Somebody said, "Grandma, did you see that beside the road?" No, driving too fast. She didn't like driving over 40 miles an hour at most. So anyway, Grandpa being what he was, loved staying ahead of the time, he was always alert on what was going around him. And one morning, I spent the week there, and one morning we come in from milking the 2 cows he had. He had a couple of Guernseys. And there had been an old tomcat hanging around. Didn't belong to any of the neighbors, didn't belong there, but it was just raised and came. And Grandpa come in the house, give Grandma the milk, and he said, by golly, boy, if anybody knew Dale Kirby, or R.D. Kirby, they knew he stuttered. But by golly, we're going to get rid of that cat. So he took that same 32 rim-fire rifle, out the back door he went, and he shot, but he missed that cat a country mile. And as far as I knew, the last I ever checked, that bullet was still inside of that barn. He missed that cat a long ways. Well, one morning, I was a little older then. We had come in from milking. As we were coming in the house, the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department had the old green 1-ton long wheelbase panel. It was the paddy wagon. It come by going north. Well, Grandpa, being the curious guy he was, he decided he'd watch where it went. And he went on north, went across the creek, up the hill, turned around the driveway, and come back down, and come back across the bridge, and parked kind of in the ditch. And he looked at me and said, "By golly, boy, go check the water for the cows." Well, he had a 10-acre patch on the north end of his place there. It had a little well in it, so we went down there to check the water. Kind of made me question, but I didn't say anything. About the time we got down there, Burl Browning got out of the driver's seat. He reached behind the seat and pulled an old pump shotgun out. He walked around behind that truck, unlocked it, opened the doors, ching, ching, and I can still hear that old shotgun. He said, "Get out of there, you SOBs, and run if you want, because I've got to blow the dust out of this effing thing anyway." Holy cow, I've never heard such a word. Well, about that time, the prisoners got out, and there were 3 that were tied together with chains, about 6 foot in between. And then there were 2 more got out, had chain balls on. They cleaned the ditch away. Well, along about noon, Grandpa got curious again, and he said, "By golly, boys, go check the water again." Now, I'd been there almost all week. We hadn't checked the water for the cows all week. So I just had finally figured out Grandpa was just curious. And we went down there, and they were sitting there at lunchtime eating some kind of sandwiches, who knows what it was, wrapped in wax paper. And they had an old stone jug they were passing along with each other to drink out of. Well, that's when I finally decided that's when Grandpa was just really curious more than anything, because the cows had plenty of water. They didn't need that water pumped out of there. So we come on back to the house, and it was about 2 weeks later, sitting there at my house in Pierce City. I got real brave, and I got to thinking, that word was pretty convenient. Pass me the effing salt shaker. Whew. Was that wrong? My mom gave my dad a look that I hadn't seen, and he looked like a deer in the headlight going, "Oh." And then they both put spurs on, and was I ever in trouble? Never to use that word again. So So the same patch of timber down there, 10 acres down there, Grandpa decided that he didn't need to be raising cattle any longer. He went down there to try to gather up on what little corral he had. Well, now Grandpa was a short fella, and he had no connection with cattle or animals. He'd hoop and holler and scream and throw his arms, and that 10 acres of cattle went to that end, and he'd go to that end and they'd come to this end, and they'd back and forth and back and forth. It was towards the end of the week, and Grandpa Allen brought Nancy over so she could spend the week, and then I'd go home with him. Grandpa looked around and he got his walking stick out, said, "You fellas just stay down here," and he walked out in the middle of the field, had his wide-brimmed straw hat on. "Sicap, sicap." Next thing you know, he was leading them back to the corral. It's a difference in the way people handle animals, and Grandpa Allen could always do that. So Grandpa Allen and Grandma Allen and I, and again, I was a little bitty at this point, went to the Jersey Parish Show at the Ozark Empire Fair. They milked Jersey cattle, and we had taken Uncle Dale's old 53 powder blue Chevrolet salesman coupe, which was two-door, no back seat, just a long platform in there. I thought that was grand, sitting up on that platform riding Springfield at the maximum speed of about 40 miles an hour. And come noontime, Grandma packed the lunch. We were going back to the car. It's the first time I had ever seen a black man. And he was raising sand about locking the keys in his car. And he had a 56 Buick with the red and white stripes on the side. Pretty car. He kicked his driver's window out, and as we gone by, a curious little boy like me turned back, and I said, "Grandpa, why did you do that? His other window's open." Grandpa said, "Come on, boy." About every third step, I hit the floor. Grandpa was marching on to the car. Well, I didn't know about segregation. You know, that didn't mean a thing to me. Grandma was way behind. And she caught up. We had our lunch. And again, the sandwiches were wrapped in wax paper. We had the stone jug that was covered with a burlap bag and put in the milk cooler, so it was nice and cold. So that was my first run-in, or first meeting of a black man. Now, Grandpa Allen was kind of a quiet fellow. He never said a whole lot. When he did, he pretty well listened. So I think I was about probably 12 years old, shortly before Brenda was born. Probably the last summer we spent up there. And the old 49 GMC truck wouldn't start. So Grandpa took the battery out. We come into Mount Vernon, the north side of the square, to Kenny Moore's auto parts store. Set that battery up on the counter. Grandpa said, "Kenny, I want to see if this battery's under warranty." Kenny took a rag, wiped it off, wrote the numbers down, got him a book out, got him another book out. About the fifth book, he went, "Tommy, that battery's 14 years old." Grandpa went, So he had quite a sense of humor when he wanted to use it. Now this wasn't in my plans to tell this story, but I'm going to go ahead and add it. Grandpa also had a mean side thing once in a while. He had to haul hay or carry a bale of hay around with a bull. There was an old ram in that same pen. That old ram would knock him down. Knock him down. One day, Uncle Dale heard the nervous racket, went out there, and Grandpa got the old ram on his back somehow or other. Saying things I won't repeat here. Grandpa was jumping up and down on that ram, knocking the wind out of him. "You ever fucking this?" I said, the old ram was that all about dead. Turned the old ram loose, and when he'd go into the bale of hay, the ram would go over there and leave him alone. So he taught that old ram a lesson. Then, way years before, back in the Depression, Grandpa would drive horses, no workhorse. He'd ride them down to Joe Rail's blacksmith shop in Chesapeake. I don't know how many of you remember the name Joe Rail, but that's the way I remember it. And this one particular time, Joe had ridden his horse into Mount Vernon and got special orders, bolt cutters. I don't remember what the other tool was. Two special tools he had. He had a special order. Rode the horse back, and he had come and put him on his table in the blacksmith shop, went in and changed clothes. Well, Grandpa rode up on the horses about the time Joe came out. Someone had stolen the tools. And Grandpa said the air was kind of blue, but one of the things that Grandpa did repeat from Joe Rail was, they ought to be in hell with their feet sticking out. So anytime anybody steals something, that's the instant thing I remember of that story about Joe Rail. Another time, Grandpa rode the horses down there, hot weather, and Joe was a pair of seasucker pants. He said, Tommy, you ought to have you a pair of these seasucker pants. Them's cool. Well, didn't say much about it. He was shoeing that horse, no horse fly cut out on the horse, and made the horse flinch with the nail about half in, and just hit that seasucker, ripped it from one end to the other. He went to the back door and says, Molly, bring me a pair of breeches. That old horse just tore the arse end out of my sea suckers. Grandpa never bought sea suckers, but by golly, I did. So, I learned to drive an 80 Ford tractor. Now, Dave's dad, Dale, my uncle, let me drive the old 80, and we were running along the fence. We were checking fences. After we got all the morning chores done, man, I was proud. I sat up there, and he said, "Go ahead and turn right. Look, put your foot on the brakes." I didn't know that there was two different brakes, that I shouldn't put them on both. I put them on the one that tractor right over a board fence, board gate. Somebody else said, darn thing needs to be replaced anyway. He didn't think much about it, just laughed about it. We went on around, and he got off the tractor, and he went over, and he got to hold that electric fence. That darn thing ain't working. Well, what's a 10 or 12-year-old boy gonna do? It was working. He thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny at the time. And speaking of 80 Ford tractors, fella in Pierce City, he eventually lived in Lawrence County, but at the time he lived in Newton County. His name was Groundhog Farmer, and his wife Irene. He had imbibed so many times that, by golly, he didn't have any driver's license. So what he drove for his main transportation, for he and his wife to get around, was an 80 Ford tractor. Well, now Irene wasn't but about that tall, and never did know how she got on and off that trailer. He pulled a trailer, homemade trailer behind that tractor. Well, on that homemade trailer was a platform rocker. And she had a purple umbrella. And they'd ride down 60 highway. They lived out south in that little community called Smackout. It was a little, what we call nowadays, convenience store. They had a little everything and a deli in the back. And they'd go in there and say, Mr. Hawkins, you got a bag of flour? Smack Out. So the place got nicknamed Smack Out because they never had supplies. So they'd have to drive to Pierce City, which would be 10 or 12 miles. That old Ford would only run about 12 miles an hour. And that old Groundhog, he had a little bit of a policy type shape to him, and he wore the herringbone striped overalls and a denim jacket, blue denim jacket year round. He'd be driving down the road, and the right figure had a flared out brown streak from all the tobacco he'd spit all the years. Wasn't any paint left there. He'd be driving down the road holding that steering wheel just as perfectly still, and that old tractor would be wandering all over the road. Saw that trailer behind us wandering all over the road, and Irene was a-singing. Rock of Ages. She couldn't carry a tune in a bucket with a lid on it, but she tried, bless her heart. They'd come to town and buy their supplies and visit their daughter and their son who lived in town. They'd get home by dark. Finally, their kids convinced him to move to Pierce City. They had an old poor piece of property out there that you couldn't even raise rocks on, let alone a racket. They finally sold it, moved into Pierce City. Well, that was their main transportation, the old 80 Ford tractor and that trailer. Well, for some reason or other, one morning, my dad and I was unloading the truck and reloading it, and we heard, "Here comes the groundhog." My dad said, "Uh-oh, he's got that in the wrong gear." And he was already wallering. He'd already had him a bottle or two. And this is up early morning, or fairly halfway up in the morning. And he started up the hill on Locust Street there. They lived on Locust Street north of us, over top of the hill, down, just in the bottom is where they lived. Well, he didn't have it in the right gear. And he hit that hill, jackknifed the trailer, rolled back. Got started. The third time it stopped, she had that umbrella folded up. I guarantee you she wasn't singing any hymnals at that point. And she was gouging and swinging and poking at him, and he got it in first gear and wound it up. It just sounded like an airplane on the other side. Well, wasn't too much longer. Here again, we were loading the truck. Along come the darndest racket. Now, Benny had a 60 Chevrolet car, two-door car. I don't know whether it's brown, bronze, rust, orange. It had never been washed, so it's kind of hard to tell the color of it. And, you know, the 60 Chevrolet had the fins come down flat across the middle. He had a 283 V8 in that and had the exhaust off of that car. You could hear him all over town. Well, that morning we heard him come up the street, just wound up tighter than can be, but there was an extra noise going along there. And then whoa, whoa. And we looked up just in time for Benny to realize, oh, he wants me to stop. Now they were pulling with a 6-foot chain. He stopped the car. Groundhog didn't stop the tractor. The car stopped the tractor. He rolled over the car right out into the road, jumped her over his head. He got that coat off his head and started swinging and cussing, and Benny was out of the car. They were in a fist fight right there in the middle of Locust Street. More of a word fight because neither one could stand up there both drunk, and they were swinging at each other, not making contact, and that. Then all of a sudden they realized, oh, there's oil, there's water running all over the highway, all over the road. Front end of the tractor broke back. They managed to finally pull it up round the corner and into the daughter's yard, and that's where the old tractor stayed the rest of its life. It never moved another inch. So that was the death of the 8N Ford tractor. A lot of people never knew that, but my dad and I actually witnessed those two things that happened to that tractor. Now the next little mystery was, how in the world I really ever got in that two-door car into the back seat, let alone get out of it. That'd have been a challenge. But that'll be another story someday, maybe. I'm going to come back over here to between pretty close to Honey Creek, between Holberg and Rome. Man's name is R.O. Wilson. About 6'2", big around your thumb. My version of the story goes that he went barefoot year round. My name is R.O. Wilson. I live here on this little bitty 10 acres, and it's one of those cheaper spreads. It's kind of like Oleo. I live in this little 4-room house with the chickens. I got 2 rooms closed off. I don't need those other rooms. Shucks, that's just me and the chickens, and we don't need much room. As long as I can cook and got a place to lay down, I'm fine. And out back, it's got one of those little old, well, I don't need a 2-holer. I got a 1-holer. And it's got a half moon on it. I put a star up there too. I thought that's pretty cute. And I got 2 donkeys.
and they come and go in and out of the house if they want to, but all of a sudden everybody in the county decided that I needed more donkeys. And I wound up with 18 donkeys. Now, oh well, a couple of them died. I finally just had 16 for a bunch of years there. You know, they eat a lot of food. And I'd have to go get food every 3 or 4 days. I'd have to go down to Hobart there at Mr. Kirby's store, load up the feed, and come on back. But I was having a heck of a time. Those donkeys that get out of that fence, I couldn't keep them in that fence. So I got real smart. I took their feeder off way up there in the corner of that little cheaper spread, and I wouldn't feed them one day. And then the next day I'd feed them, and I'd have the old Ford pickup sitting down there with a rock in front of it running right in front of that wire gap gate. And I'd go up there and feed those donkeys, and I'd run as hard as I could down there to open that gate up and get the truck out, and then have to try to get the gate fastened back. I think I'm going to have to loosen the wire a little bit. It's all I can do to get the wire out, that loop over that post. If any of you have done that, that's sometimes a joy. Well, I'd go down that old washboardy road, and the donkeys had finally decided, oh, he's gone. We're going to see where he's gone. By that time, they couldn't see me, so they wouldn't break out the fence, most generally. And I'd go over the railroad track. I had to be careful because the Allens had a patch out there, and they didn't like their fence tore up from over that railroad track too fast. So I'd have to go easy over that, and I'd drive the back roads to town. Never would get on the main roads. Those big old trucks running 40 miles an hour just scared me half to death. I'd have to stay off that road. Well, I got to worry about how in the world I could keep those donkeys in. Because all I was doing was feeding donkeys and fixing fence. You ever tried to drive a steeple in an old hedge post? My stars, you just mash a fire out of your fingers. That hurts. You can't drive them in there. I finally got to where I wrap the wire around there and cobble it all up. Didn't know what I was going to do. So one day I had to go to Mount Vernon. I was coming back the back road and went by the junkyard. I looked over there. Oh, wow, I got an idea. That'll work. I started. There's washing machines, dryers, refrigerators, stoves. Oh, and those square water heaters that set it. Raymond, the actor, had that up there in our house. The square water heater in the corner of the kitchen had a wood block on top. Well, who'd have thought of anything like that? I didn't know what that was. They're heavy too. But I'd haul them out there and put them up against that fence, between the fence and the ditch. And you know, my donkeys didn't get out after that. But before that, I'd be going up, walk up the road there in the Ravens. Got supper time, just nonchalantly, not thinking about it. And donkeys had followed me up. They didn't care if the donkeys come in the yard until it come to mowing time. And then, oh my goodness, all of those droppings. I'm sure Raymond had words to say after he spread them all over with the lawnmower. Well, it was good fertilizer though. But when I got all those donkeys, I couldn't let them in the house. Chickens didn't like it. They'd get so doggone excited, they could get feathers in my cotton pick and drinking water, and feathers on my bed. I guess it wouldn't have been a natural feather bed though. But I had to fix it so chickens could get out and the donkeys couldn't get in. Well, my old back was so sore, and I took the grit paper, and I took the Capper's Weekly for a while. The Capper's Weekly got to where it was just simply women's recipes. Well, shucks, I didn't need to be cooking much more than just a pot of beans and a cake of cornbread occasionally. So, got to read there one night. I'd read about 8 o'clock. Man, that's pretty late after that. I'd have to go to bed. I'd be so tired, my back hurt. And there was an advertisement for Jones pills. Help with backaches. Well, I got all excited. The next day when I went down to Hobart, I had to look up Mr. Kirby to see if he had any of those Jones pills in his store. He said he'd never heard of it. Reckon maybe I'd have to go to Mount Vernon over there to the drugstore. So, okay, I decided I'd do that one day. And while I was going and getting this feeds often, I just told Dan Brown he didn't have to bring my mail to me because I was at the turnaround. that old rough road, he didn't have to come down there. I'd just go to the post office there at Homework and pick it up. That was fine with me, because, like I say, all I got was old grit paper and stinking taxes too. You know how that is. So I got all excited about going to Mount Vernon then, and I went over to see Kenny Moore's wife in the drugstore there on the south side of the square. Got me some of them Donuts pills. I couldn't wait to try them. My God, they work. I'd take them, my back didn't hurt. I was so happy over that. Then I could sit and really read that grit paper. Well, there was all kinds of ideas in there, and now it allowed me time to go down to Verona there to Young Bird Supply and visit old Lefty. He and I went to school together. Never could believe a word he said. I'd have to go down and see what kind of tale he was telling. Of course, he didn't believe me either, so I guess it was about equal. But I had time to do that occasionally, and I'd go up there to Raymond, the actresses, again about supper time. She was good. Wow, she made some of the best pies. I never could make a pie, but that's okay. I go up there often enough to get my sweet tooth fixed up. So I got to reading in that paper, and I decided, by golly, I'd do something for myself. I had always wanted, like those ranchers out west had, a big old arch over my gateway that had the name of my farm on it. And I worked, and I worked, and I worked, and I worked. And I finally made it up, got it, finally hung it up. And he said, Sleepy Hollow Farm, home of the happy asses. Thank you.